My name is G Advance here, and welcome finally back to a bit of Men of War Assault Squad 2. I haven't played this game in ages. I just started getting back into it. I mostly hadn't played it because it was kind of a pain in the ass to play here, but I'm playing a 2v2. Well, I'm not actually playing. I did play a 2v2. As you can see, I'm using the fancy new replay system here, which is actually a really nice DLC. I know a lot of people got annoyed because they're like, I don't want to have to pay for DLC, but sometimes DLC is worth it. This one, absolutely worth it for people like me who want to go back and record stuff. Plus, it's really useful for telling what the more stuff about your opponents here. But anyway, this is 2v2 here. Like I said, I played with one of my friends here on the left-hand side. He's Gaz. We're playing as the Soviets, going up versus the Germans. Ends up being kind of an uneven matchup, but I thought it was an interesting one because it's good for teaching newer people this sort of stuff, because there's a newer person on the enemy team here. And actually, right now, this is a little replay feature. It shows you up my my flag. For some reason, I have a gay pride flag as my Steam thing. Don't think too much into that. I just happen to have one there. But this is a replay that I wanted to show because it shows you a lot of stuff that newer players are going to do, especially people who aren't used to the way Assault Squad is played, and see, this is a mistake. Because played a 2v2 here. We played like 3 games in a row with this guy on the enemy team, this Mimij guy. Don't do this, alright? Lots and lots of RTSs actually reward blobbing. It's something I really, really dislike. You can't do it in Assault Squad. One of the big things is that if something misses in Assault Squad, it still keeps on going. Bullets keep on traveling. So if you lose, if a shot flies off, misses the first guy, but you got a guy next to him, he's going to get shot instead. So it ends up being just as bad here. So don't blob your units. You can see already here, this is my units. You can see them in the blue, but I've got my guys really spread out. I keep them a little bit close here because I'm trying to attack up to this area. I don't actually know this machine gun is up here. And then when I finally do find out, it's because my Assault Squad leader tries to get in range and just gets bursted down by the machine gunner there. But I try and keep my guys spread out as much as possible. You see I've got one guy on the far right, another guy in the couple of guys in the sandbags here, and I'm trying to focus on buying Assault Squads as well. This map is a pretty urbanized map. It's not, it's not big, dense buildings. This is like Eastern, well, not Eastern Russia. It's like Western Russia out in, the steppes and stuff, where there's a lot of these little wooden buildings and stuff. I should know, I've been to Russia. It's probably Belarus. These looks Belarusian. Alright, but it's quite an urbanized map anyway. The majority of the fighting is going to be from building to building, from trench to trench, from, sandbag line to sandbag line. And it's going to be at short range, so Russian SMG guys especially are fantastic here. I do occasionally buy a MG, just because they're good, but we've captured the middle point. Well, we haven't captured the middle point. We've neutralized the middle point. Gaz has managed to neutralize the far left point as well, because again, that first squad that this Mimij guy got just wasn't up to the task, and he's keeping his units as well in too small an area. If you look at who owns this guy? This guy is this. Alright, so this is the furthest guy out from my opponent, which is Alex Psychedelic Acid. What a great name. He's spread his units all the way from this point in the map, which is really far along, all the way to the outer edge of his back point. Alright, so he's got the entire middle under control from his guys. He's got one side, he's got another side almost. Mimij, all of his guys are spread out along this little area here. So a lot of people, they see the objectives, which are these assault zones, and they think, I've got to sit inside these assault zones, I've got to camp them. It's a really, really bad idea to do that, guys. Don't ever do that. Alright? You've got to spread out your guys. You've got to use defense in depth as well. This is a real warfare tactic that you want to try. If you look at where my guys are lined up right now, we're way in front of the point. Now, I haven't got a proper defense in depth here, because I just don't have enough men to do it yet. At this point in the game, and as well as that, I'm not feeling under too much pressure from the enemy. They don't have any specialist weapons to assault me with, and I'm actually just throwing up the occasional guy, like you see this guy up here. I don't see this machine gunner though, which is, you see if I switch to Fog of War here, I don't see this machine gunner, so that's going to lead me to get one of my guys killed soon when I do start to assault this point. But I'm spreading out my guys, and I'm putting them way in front of the thing that I want to actually defend. If you want to defend a building or an area, you don't defend it from it. unless you absolutely have to. You put your guys in front of it so you know where they're coming from, and it gives you an opportunity as well to fall back if you need to, or if your guys on the front lines lose, then, you know, your second unit. And yeah, here's me getting my guy killed, and I didn't even see this guy there, but I was hoping to do a little bit of scouting, do some damage on this side, but it's not going to work. And again, I'm going into direct control every now and again. You'll actually notice when the flag comes up on my infantrymen. This is a really, really effective thing to do on submachine gunners, especially the Russian submachine gunners. A lot of people don't realize that they don't fire at their full capacity. You can unload 71 bullets in a couple of seconds, which is what the PPSH actually has, if you go full auto with that thing, whereas the AI won't fire anywhere near that fire rate. They try to conserve their ammo a little bit more. They burst fire. The same goes for machine guns, snipers, anything like that, guys. They don't fire at their full fire rate. You can make them go a bit crazy. I think the only weapons that do are actually riflemen, and riflemen aren't worth direct controlling because of that. And a few other reasons, just that their damage output isn't that great in here. So you can see in this game, it's not going to be too useful, but you can see how Gaz, he's got his guys spread out. He's got multiple areas that he's put guys in cover in, so there's like 3 or 4 different pockets here. One pocket here, one pocket here, one pocket here, one pocket here. And they're all able to defend each other, and they're all able to prevent the enemy coming up. So when his guys blob here, this is what I'm talking about. When they're all blobbed up, and a machine gun is firing at them, other guys are getting hit just because he's missing his primary target. Because there's so many guys grouped up next to each other, and it's a really, really, like, poor thing to do here. And, well, it looks like things are actually starting to really heat up here. I'm going to pick up a couple special points here, guys. This is something I haven't talked about enough in videos, but these are absolutely worth spending. Unless you want the big, super 10-point mega weapon, buy these things whenever you need them. So what I do here is I buy Guard Sniper, Guards Rifles, and I bought myself a tank as well, because I want to try and assault this middle point. Gaz is going to be under a lot of pressure on his side, and if I can take out stuff with a tank in this area, I know I can do it. And right now as well, I've scouted up fairly well. I mean, look how far my furthest guy up is, right? That's past the actual central point. I can't capture the central point yet because I didn't have the weapons to do it, but it's past that central point, so I know that he doesn't have too much in the way of anti-tank weapons or support weapons. I've scouted that far out, so what I'm going to do is I've also brought in these Guard Snipers. I'm going to throw out those on the front lines so that I can... Any targets that start firing up, the tank and the snipers can take them out. And one thing that I've done as well here, this is actually a nice thing that you want to try and do, because resupplying has been changed a lot in Men of War Assault Squad now, where for normal ammunition, you just go next to these boxes, you stand in this little ring, and you'll just automatically resupply, which is way better than the old way of doing it, by the way. Like, you don't understand how much better that is if you never played under it, but my KV-1's going to go into the middle. It's going to position itself as aggressively far forward as possible for 2 reasons. One, I know that the enemy don't have any anti-tank weapons, so I can go as far up as I want to. And 2, I want to push the enemy back. I want to get as much ground. I want to get past this point. If I'm here, and I have this area dug in, there's no way they're getting here, right? But if I'm here and I have this area dug in, it's a lot easier for somebody to sneak up closer to me and to gain more ground. So whenever you have the opportunity, you should always try and get what you can. You can already see my sniper is having a bit of an effect. I took out the machine gunner and a second guy there now, and now my assault squad leader is able to get up there. So now that most of the big things that can threaten infantry, the machine gun particularly that was there, has been taken out, this is when I'm going to start throwing up my infantry. Now I make a mistake with these guys. I put them in really bad positions. So I'm not able to deal with this very well, and I'm going to start bringing up my tank as well, because now I know that there's no enemy AT infantry hiding in this bunker or hiding in this building. So I'm going to bring this tank up here. I load APCR shells, but the KV-1 has a terrible, terrible gun. It's rubbish, and the armor on the turret is also pretty weak in general, so I get turreted. I'm going to have to try and pull back, but the Panzer IV-H that he's bought just to deal with this is a lot better, and this guy comes out with an anti-tank weapon. I didn't have this area secure. That's what I mean by not having these guys in a good position. This is a crap position for these guys. They should be way more spread out along this area. So I'm going to lose my KV-1 for that. I'll try to repair it, but it'll end up definitely just being a terrain piece now for the rest of the game. So I try and get my guys a bit further up. I've got a guy with an anti-tank rifle here. This is part of the loadout that the guards rifle get, by the way. They come with 2 machine guns, 2 riflemen with anti-tank rifles, and then I think 4 submachine gunners. Yeah, so they come with 4 just general submachine gunners. They're pretty good, but so many infantry just come running out through this building here that I can't deal with it in any way. And my guard's rifle, he wouldn't be able to deal with that anyway. So I'm going to need either something with some sort of heavy anti-tank weapon, or I'm just going to have to deal with the fact that this tank now is pretty much able to do whatever it likes. The one nice thing that I do have is I've set up a position here with a sniper as well as the machine gunner. The machine gunner is kind of protected by this house, so he can't be attacked from this angle, which is where the tank is most likely to be. The tank doesn't want to go here because it's very thin ground. You know, there's not much in the way of places it can maneuver. Obviously, it can't get really here because that's a terrible place to go, he says, having parked a KV-1 there. But the machine gun is kind of covered. As well as that, the sniper is really difficult to see. So I know I've got a good sight line, and any units coming out of this church, I mean, you can see what the sniper can see here. Any units coming out of this church, anything from here, it can be seen. My other sniper as well, guard sniper gives you 2, is all the way up on Gaz's side. That's because I want to make sure that I have both angles open. And just there, actually, Gaz pointed out that there was an enemy veteran sniper up there, because you can see who's being killed by what sort of weapons. You see it says Mosin sniper there, so he knows that I have snipers as well, if he's paying attention to that stuff. But I knew that there was a sniper around, so I went into direct control, looked where it was, and then just gave him an attack order. I didn't want to direct control it, because it can be a bit finicky with a sniper. It's very difficult to do. But anyway, so my enemy, he knows that I've not got much in the way of anti-tank ground. I've got one other anti-tank rifle guy. He doesn't know where that guy is, hopefully. He's just here, and it's actually, yeah, he doesn't know where it is. I'm going to switch to the anti-tank. You see, I direct control it again. I'm going to crawl out of this cover, and then aim a shot right through the center of the vehicle. Don't aim for anywhere fancy. You just want the shot to go through. This 222 would have been a really, really useful buy for him, but if it weren't for that anti-tank rifleman, this guy could have, this 222, it could have come all the way up through here. It could have come through here. It could have just killed everything I had, because I was just bringing up an AT infantry guy, and an anti-tank rifle is much more useful versus an anti-tank rocket launcher, because the rocket's just, you know, it's got slower travel time there. But anyway, you can see I don't have anything that can really do anything about the Panzer IV. My AT rifle, my guy died, and he probably couldn't penetrate it anywhere but from the rear anyway, so this tank is now pretty much able to just do what it likes. It looks like it's on fire there, but that's actually, I think, just the, yeah, that's just the building that it ran over then. So despite all of that, though, what's been really effective is that this tank, maybe it's got free reign, but it doesn't want to go into all these buildings. Like I said, this is an urbanized map, so infantry is really the king here, and you can tell that just by looking at the map. There's so many damn dots everywhere. We have a ton of infantry all over the place. Gaz has got a large number of infantry overlooking this area as well, and I have a sniper over on both sides of the central point. This is what makes it really, really difficult to get infantrymen in here. So you see, this infantry squad is moving up. It has tank support, but it's not able to get in just purely because I have a sniper on one side, I have a machine gun up here. Sure, he can move his tank up, but even then, it's a pain in the ass for his infantry to move up. He's already lost a couple of guys. He's lost a lot of HP on most of them as well. You can see they've all taken a little bit of damage, so they're kind of getting pinned down here. He's got one guy up, but again, he gets up into there, doesn't manage to neutralize it. So getting something like snipers or machine guns on angles like this is way more effective than just having a machine gun here. What it means is that as they run across, you have way more time to actually track them with the gun, and there's less ways they can get cover from it as well. So that's a really nice little thing to do here. But again, Mimij, sadly, he's kind of struggling in this game. He doesn't really know what he's doing because he's newer. But that's all the sort of stuff that I'm trying to point out to you. You need to spread out your guys. You need to be aggressive as well. He didn't capture his home point properly. All he did was stick all of his guys on one area. So now he's really struggling to actually do anything. And as well as that, if you look through, he's not really just got enough guys alive. Too many of them have died because too many of them have been grouped up together. Anyway, now what I do is I say, screw this, I want to make sure that I 100% capture that middle point. I buy myself a KV-85, and I buy myself a charge here. What charge essentially does is buy you just a ton of infantrymen. Now, they don't come with sandbags, even the rifleman ones. There's some riflemen in there, there's a load of submachine gunners as well. I think it's mostly riflemen, though. And the basic use of this is to just throw bodies in there. You can see, even if he has machine guns or riflemen in, they don't have the firepower to take them out. What they do have, though, is Nebelwerfer. Psychedelic Alex completely destroys my charge in there, but what I do have, luckily, is the fact that the KV-85 is still alive. He's taken out the Panzer IV as well, because obviously KV-85 has a fantastic gun, way better turret as well. I actually really like this vehicle. I was going to buy myself just an IS-1, but I looked at the cost and I was like 950, 1,100, and if you look at the specifications, it's really not worth the difference. You get the same gun, pretty much the same turret, apart from it's a little bit better all around, but only by 10mm on the side, and I don't want it to be hit from the top or rear anyway. If anything hits a turret from the top or rear, you've done screwed up. So at this point, we've pretty much won the game, despite the fact that the Nebelwerfer fired on all my grouped up infantry, which again, not something you can do, but you can kind of get away with it as Russia, because charges, it's only 2 special points, and it gives you just so many infantrymen that losing a load isn't that much of a big deal here. And I think this game really demonstrates that you have to be aggressive in Assault Squad. I even tried attacking this point just with a couple guys every now and again, just because it forces the enemy to put guys there and worry about having defensive positions. He still has a machine gunner and an SMG guy on this side. Machine gunners are expensive. I mean, 65 manpower is no small amount. You want that guy to be constantly fighting and firing his gun. You don't want him to just be in a situation where he's not using it. And here I actually moved up my machine gunner that was here from earlier, because now that I've taken this point and I've got guys up in here, I don't need to cover this area. What I need to cover is this area here, which is further back and harder to get to. So I put my machine gunner up there, and that's what I mean. Look at the effectiveness of this guy versus the effectiveness of this guy. For one, my guy's got veterancy, which is another new feature, and I'm actually going to run my tank up here. This is a really, really stupid move, but luckily his Panzer Grenadiers don't actually get me. And one of their shots, I think, hits, but it hits at such an angle that it can't do damage. Then he throws an anti-tank grenade onto the front. I still survive this. I don't know how. He kills most of my crewmen, though. And, yeah, I end up just wiping people out here, because he doesn't have the anti-tank weapons to deal with this KV-85 at this point. And he doesn't have the infantry coverage either. There's no AT weapons anywhere close. He's going to try and buy one soon, but the game is going to end in just a couple moments here. And, yep, my KV-85 is just going to drive up. He's got Tank Commander and a tank crewman here that he escaped with earlier. They have no way of hurting it, so they can't do anything. But the game is going to end in a second there. I think you can see kind of the effectiveness of being really aggressive with your infantry. If you look at just the amount that we bought a ton of infantry. If we compare this to our opponents here, they haven't got anywhere near as many guys out on the field, and the same goes for vehicles. You just have to make sure that your guys are more spread out, that they've got open firing lines, because if you group your guys up, a machine gun will wipe them out, any sort of explosive will wipe them out. We saw that twice. A grenade killed an entire enemy squad, a Nebelwerfer killed most of my charge. If you group your guys up, they will die to something in Assault Squad, because you don't get much of a chance to live through anything. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this has been kind of useful. I'm going to be doing more of this sort of stuff, as well as more live commentary, and I'm going back to doing my guides very shortly. I am seriously doing those. Like, I have the German vehicles, and then I'm going to do, I think, probably American vehicles very shortly. So thanks for watching, guys. My name's been General Advance, and I'll see you around.